Memorial Day weekend coming up. I always thought this was a really kind of underrated weekend in horse racing, especially out on the West Coast. Used to have some big races at Hollywood Park and now at Santa Anita. So for this video, myself, Gino Bacola, and Barry Spears are going to take a look at the Monday late pick 5 sequence at Santa Anita. 3 graded stakes races in that sequence and a really good grade 1 game lead that'll get it all started in the 7th race. We have a Memorial Day sale right now at DRF that will continue all the way through Monday. You can get 15% off everything when you use the coupon MEMD25. Check that out. Memorial Day sale, 15% off. Barry, when you think about the time of the year, it's a good chance to stock up on some of the clocker reports. I'm going to be needing the help when it comes to Del Mar and Saratoga for some of those baby races. So the sales are always a nice time because you can stack up on the plans and just take advantage and save money when these sales come through.
Yeah, it's really a nice saver for times like this, especially with the weekend coming up, all the stakes action. It's always good to save a couple of bucks so you can fire away.
We are going to be doing that on Monday. But throughout the weekend, there are a couple fun tournaments that I think some of the contest players might enjoy. First up, we've got the Santa Anita Challenge Live Money. It's a $500 tournament, and you can win NHC seats and also seats to the Gold Cup Challenge, which is a bigger tournament on Monday. So Saturday, $500 challenge, get in there, win some NHC seats, win some cash. Then on Saturday, there's a $100 feeder into the Monday Gold Cup Challenge. So you can play Saturday, Sunday in this one, try to get in for just $100. If not, you can enter for $1,500 in the Gold Cup Challenge, win NHC seats, PWCBC seats, and big money up for grabs. Huge tournaments this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. You could also try Friday to win your way in to the Saturday tournaments. I know that over at ExpressBet, they're going to have some big tournaments starting up at Canterbury soon, Barry. They're opening up this weekend. And one thing I love about Canterbury, the low takeout. That's what we like as horse players. They were one of the first to really go with that low takeout. I think the 10% takeout for Canterbury. So, Barry, let's dive on into Monday at Santa Anita. I got to say, this gamely that we handicapped, one of the better races in a while that I've looked at, especially at Santa Anita, really competitive, going long on the grass, 1 1/8. It's a grade 1. I mean, this 7th race is where we start the pick 5 on Monday. We're a couple days out, so they don't have the odds up yet for these races, but we have a good idea kind of who will go favorite and which horses will take money. Lady Claypool is sharp. She's won 3 in a row. She stepped up and won the Santa Ana. You have a couple of the sharp sort of local horses with Lady Claypool, with Public Assembly, who won the Royal Heroine, with Liguria, who won the Buena Vista. All those horses are sharp, but they're going to have to step up to face horses like No Show Sammy Joe and a horse that you hit pretty well on Pegasus World Cup Day. Be Your Best just looks like she's in a great spot because this is not – it's a competitive race, but it's not like a bunch of grade 1 horses. Like they're all really competitive. She fits well. Her resume is just as good as any in here, and there's not very much speed at all. She caught a really good field to sit her trip.
Yeah, I think she's going to get the run of the race. I mean, if they let her go and she gets a lone lead, she's going to be extra tough. And then if somebody kind of pops the gate, gets in front of her, she can sit on a slow pace and finish strong like she did in the Pegasus. I can't foresee anybody getting a better trip than her in this race, to be honest with you.
Yeah, the Jenny Wiley was a really tough group. It was just so much tougher than this particular race. I mean, you go horse by horse through that field. Schwazia, really nice, Excellent Truth, Cajo Beach, Sacred Wish. Any of those top 4 would be favored in this race. They would be really, really tough. And the way the race shaped up, too, there wasn't a lot of passing. Cajo Beach went to the lead. Schwazia was down to the inside, and Excellent Truth was just right behind that. Be Your Best just faced tough horses, didn't get the smoothest of trips overall. I'm fine putting a line right through it. I think she's kind of a starting point because I think she fits, she makes a lot of sense, and it's a good spot for her. Now, a horse who might make it difficult on her if she runs, Barry, would be Where's My Ring. She's actually cross-entered. She's entered in a race on Sunday as well. small field. And in that Sunday race, she probably looks better on paper to win that race or to be competitive there. But if she's in this race, she is one of a couple horses who have shown speed. And I could see with the outside draw, them trying to get aggressive with her. She could maybe be a horse in here whose presence could at least make life a little more difficult, would Be Your Best. If we're saying Be Your Best either has to work too hard, doesn't get the trip, maybe she's just not in as good a form or doesn't have the same sort of spark she had earlier in the year. Any other horses on your radar that you're looking at?
It was hard for me to make Where's My Ring being part of any piece of this race. I know that horse showed speed. The turf try, or one of the turf tries that this horse had, it kind of came off the pace. I'm not really sure what they would do. If Alpha Bella actually is a horse that's kind of interesting from a pace standpoint, has some speed and might be able to get to the front in front of Be Your Best. And I think that would be Your best move, is to kind of track Alpha Bella, take over and take off. But that's another one who's cross-entered. And if both of those horses scratch, I mean, it might be just a walkover almost for Be Your Best. But I thought Lady Claypool, as a hot horse, merits a little bit of consideration, especially from the rail, trying to get positioned early. I think being on the rail might be so much more beneficial for this horse, getting into the race a little bit earlier. Not sure what the price will be, but definitely a horse on the rise.
The one that I'm going to use along with Be Your Best is the 4. I'm a little bit worried about the trip. I do think just kind of stacking her up to a lot of the others in the field, I think she's actually like naturally quicker than most of these horses besides Be Your Best. Like, I don't think she's going to be pushing her on the lead or anything, but I could actually see her sitting in a pretty good spot, kind of saving ground down on the inside, sitting like third or fourth. Not much different from the trip that she had last time. And you kind of go through her overall form. She was in the Chad Brown barn early on in her career. She's always had some talent. She just she had a couple tough trips in the first 2 starts of her career. She raced, then she was off for a while. Then she showed back up. Her race in July of 2024 wasn't even bad. She was only beat a couple lengths. She had to go really, really wide. Then you could see she turns the corner. Kentucky Downs, she wins. She comes back at Keeneland. She runs really well, even though she finishes second that day. That was a good group when she was behind a horse named Random Harvest, who has not done a whole lot wrong. This horse has never been worse than third in 4 starts. So starting to figure things out. Then she goes out west after this. And her 2 races out west have been really good. I wasn't sure after the March 30th race, because her speed figures were kind of low. But then she took that really nice step forward that we were hoping in the Royal Heroine. That race was a little like this. It was competitive. There wasn't necessarily any monsters. This group is better, obviously, the Gamely, but it was kind of like that in that there wasn't 1 or 2 horses that kind of scare the heck out of you. It was just sort of a competitive group overall. And I thought that Public Assembly sat a really nice trip. And I didn't like her this day really at all, Barry. Like, I was kind of against her. So she really impressed me in that she ran a lot better than I was expecting. She's the one. And here she is down on the inside. You could see this was a moment when she was in kind of traffic. There were a bunch of horses in front of her, kind of around her, and she just settled really nicely. I like how she just kind of waited. She didn't run right up on the heels and get herself into more trouble. She kind of waits, and then at the top of the lane, she gets sort of caught in a blind switch again too. Like right here, she's moving really well, and you see the one with the yellow cap down on the inside. She's trying to pick where to go, and the 2 kind of goes back to the inside, and she kind of gets pushed back even a little farther right here than she would like to, right about here, and then she's got to figure out, where do I go? Where do I go? Okay, now I got a seam right there. Boom, and it opens up, and she just shoots through. I think this horse is just in good form right now. I like that she seems kind of tactical, that she can sit right behind, and she's already got a win at 1.25 miles, so distance is no problem. For me, the concern that I have with her, Barry, is trip. But I think I'm going to use Be Your Best all over the place. I'm not trying to beat her or anything. If I'm playing the pick 5s, I'm going to use this one with her because I do think she's got some ability. She could offer us a little bit of value in here. So I respect the 8. I think it's a great spot for Be Your Best. I'm looking for kind of another fun horse to include. I think I'm going to throw in the 4 Public Assembly, third start of the form cycle now.
Yeah, I had her that day at 8-1. I remember you really were kind of a little cold on her.
Yeah, I wasn't sure
Um,
what to expect, but you guys, you liked her, and Mike Beer, who I did the preview with on DRF, I think he had her picked right on top, and she opened my eyes a little bit. And I think if she just steps forward a little bit off of that race, one more
yeah,
little jump forward, and that could be perfect for her.
totally agree. And the price is going to be right, I think,
Yeah,
um, because No Show Sammy Joe is probably, I would say, the second best horse in this race.
I agree. And it's
But
not like she's got excuses too, right? She just
hmm
ran in that tough Jenny Wiley. The race didn't really shape up for her. She probably needed the race. And Graham Motion has done a really nice job sending horses out here to Southern California like this in these races, the ones in May and then the ones in November at Del Mar. A lot of the time, these turf races, he just has a feel for, sending horses over that would be just like they were. They were 7 or 8-1 in the Jenny Wiley and might be the second choice in here.
my only concern is she's been getting like left
Too
a
far
little bit.
back. She's a
Yeah,
little slow early. Yep, I
and
agree.
that's what really got her beat against Be Your Best in the Long Island.
Because she probably ran better, just
She,
had to
she,
go wide and way around while Be Your Best got the perfect trip.
right. So she's definitely a formidable foe. I just don't think the pace sets up the way she's been running. I mean, she's clearly can be closer, but I don't know if that's going to be the plan or what they're really going to try to do here.
This horse, Expensive Queen, is another that's just a little interesting to me. I don't know if she's quite this good yet, but you understand why a good barn would send a horse out to a race like this and say, you know what? I'm not sure if there are any monsters in there. We have a horse who we think is really nice. Believe that Walsh, just looking at the last few years of Walsh, he sent a horse out here in the 2021 Gamely. La Signare was second. 2022, he won with Ocean Road. 2023, Via Reggio finished fourth. And last year, Forever After All was third. So since 2021, every year he's had at least a horse come out and run in this race. They finish in the top 4. He just sort of has a good feel for where horses kind of stack up. So this is the 6th that we're watching. And just a good performance from a horse who was sitting middle of the pack, about 5 lengths off or so. It was a big field of 12, sort of waiting for the opening, waiting for the room to develop. So down on the inside, and then kind of like a pro, Barry, saves all the ground, shifts to the outside, kind of pushes her way through, finds a seam, and then just tips out. And visually, really impressive. What I like too is right here, she's a little green, trying to like switch leads. And I think there might even be a bit more upside with her. It's a good effort from her visually, and that was her
Sure.
first start in the country. Like there's
Yeah.
no reason why she can't step forward off of that. But with a lot of these horses, it's just trip. They don't want to be too far back chasing Be Your Best.
Yeah, that's the only knock I would see is her running style. She seems to like to lay back and make one big run. I mean, she's awfully quick turn of foot, but is that going to be enough against a horse like Be Your Best? Going to be kind of winging it out there. It's not impossible to run a horse like that down, but it's definitely going to be tough, especially on the Santa Anita turf.
So there's a look at the Gamely. You could make a case like for almost everybody in this field. Nobody would really surprise me. It's more of just the trips they get.
Yeah.
That would surprise me. Like Lady Claypool's in good form. Alpha Bella is a multiple graded stakes winner. She just finished second behind Tirapati, and she loves to run in the mix. Kinjani, she had a brutal trip. If you see trouble trip in the running line, you know that it's legitimate trouble. She hasn't had a bad race in her 3 starts here, and she's going to make her second start back after a long layoff. I went through why I liked Public Assembly. No Show Sammy Joe, one of the classier horses. We just showed you Expansive Queen. Liguria is a multiple graded stakes winner. She's just not that quick early, so she needs a little bit of help and needs a little bit of a setup. Be Your Best is probably the horse to beat. I'd be surprised if Where's My Ring runs in this grass race, because I think she just way better suited in the field of 6 on Sunday, where she would be a major player in there. So really good grade 1 to kick off the late pick 5 on Monday at Santa Anita. Let's move to the Gold Cup. So our old buddy Skippy, is Skippy Longstocking. Diving in a little bit to Skippy, he's raced 31 times in his career. There have been 8 times in his career when he was favored in a race. He won 6 of them, ran second in 1, and then was 5th in the Ben Ally. So, because I was just thinking about that, like, gosh, he feels like he's really solid whenever he's in spots like this. When he looks like he's the most accomplished horse in the field and he's just the best horse in there, he really does seal the deal a lot of the time. The one time he didn't was on the muddy track at Belmont and Aqueduct in the Woodward. But other than that, like when he's well spotted, he usually just sits really close and he beats those horses.
Yeah, and it's wild because the 3 races that this horse had this year, the Challenger was so soft, and somehow this horse gets into soft fields like this every time. You know,
I know
I want to bet against this horse.
I know,
but it's like I can't because the field is just not strong enough for him.
It's so hard to find like legitimate contenders against him in this race.
I only saw one horse that I could see maybe kind of outrunning him and outlasting him is Midnight Mammoth. But I don't know if this horse is just an absolute speedball because last time he kind of set off the pace a little bit. There was a slight duel in front of him and he took advantage of it and coasted by them and kind of ran away a little bit.
And it's hard too when it's a horse like this who's kind of tailed off form and then it's a wet track race that vaults him back into a career best effort. Like you look at him and you wonder like, wow,
right. Always perfect setups.
Small field, got a trip. Probably 2 of the other horses in the field didn't even like the way the track was, and he just goes on with it, right? So,
yeah, and Tarantino, I just can't do anything.
And because he had been in really nice form, and then he threw his clunker in last time out. But even when he was running at his best, he still wasn't winning.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Pax of Wallop almost looks like Midnight Mammoth,
and he's a grass horse. He's only been on the dirt twice. One was in his career debut. Another was on a wet track. So he's tough to get a feel for. He was 15-1 in a spot like this on the turf, right? Just recently in the Winningham going 1.25 miles. So even on his better surface, he still was a long shot.
Right. Arrow the Great doesn't seem fast enough.
No, he had a couple, like a little spurt where it looked like last year he might have been stepping up the graded stakes company. But look at the 3 times they put him in against stakes company.
Yeah, he gets
and honestly, this race is probably tougher than those 3 races. Like, or maybe not the Pat O'Brien with Raging Torrent and the Chosen Vron, but the Gold Cup last year with Mr. Fisk and Reincarnate, that race wasn't very strong.
No.
Neither was the Native Diver with Mr. Fisk and Skinner and Newgrange. That race was okay, maybe like comparable to this one.
Those 2, the 2nd and 3rd place finishers, I don't think are even in California anymore.
Yeah. The ones that I kind of got to by just elimination, Barry, but like I would single Skippy Longstocking in the pick 5 most likely. I just don't like, especially because I can find
to get around him.
Some other value in other races. I just like it feels like, yep, you go through each of his races. When he faces too tough a company, he doesn't win. They find another spot that's a lot softer for him, and boom. So he has 8 graded stakes wins, and the rest of the field combined has 3, and 2 of them are on the turf. Like Tarantino's never won a graded stakes. He's graded stakes multiple graded stakes place. Pax of Wallop is a multiple graded stakes winner, but they're both on the grass. Midnight Mammoth won the grade 3 Cougar on the dirt at Del Mar going 1.5 miles. Extensive has never been in stakes races. Il Bellator is just grade 3 placed, and Arrow the Great has been overmatched in all of those. So he's won 8. The rest of the field combined have won 3, and only one of those was on the dirt. He just sort of towers over them.
He almost looks too good to be true. That's why I would take, in any multi race bet, I would take Skippy and Midnight Mammoth. Just in case, because I think Midnight Mammoth is a pretty decent horse. I know his perfect trip wins kind of stand out on his page, but I still think he can run. It's just a matter of what the trip will be. because if he's a lone lead winging it, he might be okay. If he's coming slightly off the pace, he might get a little shaky, but definitely get your price.
The two horses I maybe would look to, you have the up and coming horse Extensive. No clue how good he really is. He's just so lightly raced. He jumped up and his speed figures have improved, and he's heading in the right direction, right? Like lots of positives. It's just, this is a lot for him. But maybe you look back at the rest of the field and go, okay, other than Skippy Longstocking,
Who else
nobody
is
really
there?
scares you,
Right.
right? Like he may not be less talented than any of the other horses in here. The one that I actually bet Barry 2 starts back was Il Bellator. He set a pretty good trip on March 28th. Won. That was impressive. He's thrown up a couple of good races, like the Long Acres Mile last year. And now you look at the Pleasanton Mile, where he was behind Mixto. That race actually looks a little bit better with Mixto winning the Pacific Classic, Mixto going over and running second in the Dubai World Cup. Those would be the two that I'm looking at if I'm playing. There'll be some tickets where I'm playing other than Skippy. Those will probably be the ones that I throw in. I'm kind of grabbing at straws in them. Like if everybody shows up with their best, Skippy probably gets a pretty good trip in here. Like Safi's done a really nice job of spotting him, and this is another really good spot.
The thing about Il Bellator is I don't understand why they haven't tried to take this horse long on the dirt previously.
And just
I see them run on the turf, but I really don't understand why. It seems like this horse is kind of would like to go longer than he's been running,
because he
and
can
on the
settle
dirt.
a little slower early on and then kick. That's what he did really well on March the 28th. Perhaps in this spot, he can kind of sit here, go a little bit longer now on the dirt, 1.25 miles. We haven't seen him go that far. It's just been mile and mile stuff recently. So that's a look at the field for the Grade 2 Hollywood Gold Cup. Are you going to go with Skippy, or maybe you're looking for a price or two in a different direction? Barry mentioned Midnight Mammoth as one that would be interesting for him. I thought Extensive and or Il Bellator could be a use if you're using other more than just Skippy in here. Let's go to the Shoemaker Mile. This one is grade 1, race number 9. A couple horses that'll take some money in this one. You've got Formidable Man, who's just in really nice form. He's won 4 of his last 5. He got a fantastic ride in the Kill Row up the rail. It was like a little farther back than he had been used to. So he's definitely a horse to start with. Mi Hermano Ramon, he's kind of stamped himself at the top of the division on the West Coast over the last year or so. He's been really, really solid. To the outside, you always have to talk about Goliad any race that he's in, because he has that runaway speed where he could get clear. He could be really tough to run down. So I always want to at least give a look to him in races, because it's usually like him and then the other speeds, Barry. It's not even like he usually battles with other speeds, because he's faster than a lot of the other speeds he'll run into.
Yeah, usually. I mean, I don't know what kind of tactics they're going to employ. I mean, back last, in the winter time, last winter, this horse was just like almost sprinting.
Yeah.
A mile. But I do think there's a lot of speed in here. King of Gosford is the horse that I really zeroed in on.
Me too.
You know how I like these horses that run well off the layoff. Their second time back, they usually pop or run bigger than they did previously. So this horse has that breakthrough pattern. I think this horse is going to be real tough.
I'd love to see him sitting third, right?
Right.
Can he sit third in here?
Absolutely, especially with Pratt aboard. He's the king of position.
I just think everything they were pointing to this race. He was off from December to April, shows back up in April, and Cabo Spirit, who can go longer, got loose on the front end. And so he's a tough horse to run down, because we know he's capable of going 1.25 miles on the lead. So you let a horse like that get clear going a mile, he's sort of tough. It was the first start since December for King of Gosford, and now he's just going to be a little bit sharper with that race under his belt. And if you look at a horse like Formidable Man, who I respect the heck out of, and he's gotten the better of Forever King of Gosford previously, I just like that King of Gosford has the recency on him now. right? The tables are kind of turned. King of Gosford has that race last month, whereas Formidable Man now is going to be coming up on 2.5 months, more than that, almost 3 months since he last raced at the beginning of March. So could that be just a little difference where you have that race under you, a little more sharpness for King of Gosford, the versatility that he has with Pratt aboard? It just feels like it's a really good spot for him to run a big one.
I thought that at first about Formidable Man, but I noticed that these layoffs,
They don't
his
bother
layoffs,
him.
no, because they're usually like 2 months. When he
Just
comes back
enough.
on 2 months or basically like 60 days ish, he runs an incredible race, and I can't discount that here. I think he's going to run real big too. I
Yep.
mean, going forward with any exotics, I'm definitely using both of these horses.
Yeah, he's the horse to beat, no doubt about it. You can't really knock what he's done in his last 5 starts. The Pegasus, he went a little too fast early. And that's it. Other than that, fired, showed us the ability to sit, to rate. He's just really tough right now. Others, so Mi Hermano Ramon was in the kill row where a lot of these horses ran, and Mi Hermano Ramon is the one. And he doesn't have to be in necessarily the spot where he was. He was just a little too far back and he was down on the inside. So, like right here, not necessarily the spot you really want to be in, down on the inside, last, when they're not going that fast. He just had a tougher time as you kind of go farther in the field. Even now, you see Mi Hermano Ramon still has to pass everyone, and they make a decision. Watch Formidable Man in the pink cap, and then watch Mi Hermano Ramon goes to the outside. Rispoli on Formidable Man stays inside, gets a dream run, and Mi Hermano Ramon comes to the outside, has to give up all that ground. Come on, 6. I had Zio Joe this day. Come on, Barry, with the 6. Just couldn't get there at 23-1. But it's a great ride from Rispoli on the 4. And it's not like the 1 ran all that poorly, just got the worst of it from a trip standpoint, had to be inside, then shuffle, then move angle all the way to the outside in a race where there just wasn't all that much passing.
No, not at all. And I think that we're going to get a different sort of race. And
Yeah.
Formidable Man's going to have to get better position than that, I think.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a rider's race because these horses have been running against each other. Even Seal Team coming off the layoff.
What's wrong with this horse? He fits really well.
Yeah, he definitely fits. I'm just worried that he gets these breaks and doesn't really fire first time off the
May
break.
need one.
Right. That's kind of my fear. But he's as talented as anybody in this field and can win. If the price gets away from everybody, I would think about him twice.
Yeah, you even have the sharp Atitlin, who's been in really nice form right now, and they just bring him right back because he stepped up. He won the San Luis Rey, he won the Whittingham, so they'll roll him right back in another graded stakes. Seminole Chief ships out after a couple of sharp victories in his last 2, so a solid field here in the Shoemaker Mile. Barry and I both started with King of Gosford as the horse who we think should get a really nice trip, nice setup, second start back off the break, a lot of things to like. But I'm sure many of you probably like a different horse for a different reason. I don't think they're all separated by much in this field. Formidable Man feels like the one that's kind of on that top tier. King of Gosford, I think, is sort of right below him. And then after that, they're all right there in the mix, right? They're all right there and very playable. So good luck in the grade 1 Shoemaker Mile. That is race number 9. Hopefully we can make it through the graded stakes portion of the pick 5. And then we're on to the Calbred Maidens. These are fillies and mares, 3, 4, and 5-year-olds going 5.5 furlongs on the dirt. The 4 approval rating ran a really good second on May the 2nd. Just beat one of those too good to lose type races for this guy. So just coming right back in a similar spot. I think this gal, it makes a whole lot of sense. So from a starting point, she fits. But who are some of the horses that are on your radar?
The outside horse waiting for my cue was one I kind of zeroed in on. Blaine Wright does pretty well with these kind of horses. And the damn Big Easy, I believe, won her first 2 races very precociously. Speed. And even in the pedigree, beyond her children, there's a lot of precociousness and a lot of speed, and that usually wins these kind of races, especially state bred ones. Um, I think this horse has a really good chance. I like the long 5 furlong works. Getting Lasix first time is, um, that can't hurt either. So I'm out with this horse, waiting for my cue, and Calm Down Kimmy, who actually owns I believe the longest fastest gate work closest to the race, that Los Al work 46-2 handling from the gate on May 9th. Uh, Harris Farms, they do a good job with these types, win early types, and it seems like this horse has some speed. So I kind of zeroed in on both of those.
I'm completely in agreement with you on waiting for my cue. This horse is going to be in all the pick 5 and exotics for me. Blaine Wright, 5 for 29 with first-time starters over the last year, 17% with a $2.08 ROI. That Dam, who you pointed out, won the first 2. All 8 siblings that she's produced, all 8 foals have won races. So it's a solid little pedigree here for this horse. Capable barn. The horse particularly has fired well. And I actually thought the works were solid. And approval rating, I think, is the horse to beat. No doubt. One other that I'll mention is the one. I don't love the rail draw, but this horse actually worked inside of a rival, and I think that was the April 30th work. You can find some of those on first.tv. So I actually like when horses are drawn to the rail and you've seen them work inside of other horses. They've just gotten familiar doing it. I think this horse has some ability, so I'll probably throw her in some pick 5s as well, along with the 4 and the 10, who is the one I start with, waiting for my cue, no doubt about it. Calm Down Kimmy was a fun price horse that Barry included.
Reckless Ride was another one I would give a shot to as well.
Just had trouble. Didn't really get much of a shot.
Yeah, just didn't really get the best run of it. Should probably be a little bit sharper even on the break and everything this time. So getting Lasix, I think that horse might be a decent price. So I would throw that one in.
Reckless Ride, a possibility. Even Bottom Dollar was in that same race. Like, you can see the improvement coming from this one a little bit more. Wouldn't be shocked to see one more step forward from Bottom Dollar. In race number 10, tricky Calbred, tricky maiden special weight race here for Calbred's race 10 on Saturday or Monday at Santa Anita. We move to the 11th to close things out. This one is Calbred's going 1 mile on the turf course here. 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. I think it's kind of starting with the horse who I thought ran really, really well in the debut, was Winning Patriot.
Yep.
Good effort. And in watching the race too, just no shame in finishing second for this horse. So she's the 6 in the race that we're watching here. He is the 6 in the race that we're watching here. Sits a really nice trip, sitting 3rd, just a couple lengths off. And he's a little bit wide. And what I really like too is, so he moves to the lead, kind of getting the trip that you hope for. He looks like a horse to me that just will have no problem with distance and going further. Like, he strikes the front. He's a big guy. Right about here, he looks kind of like he's done, right? He's like green.
Everybody's tired.
Right? He's like loping along. So the 1 just flies by him. But watch the 6 now start to figure it out. Like, he looked like the 5 was going to go right past him. And then all of a sudden he opens up and he's like well clear by a couple lengths of the 5. So I think this horse is still figuring it out. And he's got some real serious ability. He was no match for the winner, but he was a clear-cut second that day. But one of the horses who also had some serious trouble in this very same race. So watch the 12, the gray, who's way towards the back. So he's dead last going into the first turn here. And if you just keep an eye on him from the back, Gray starts to move positioning now. So now he's right up there with the rest of the pack, and he's starting to move into contention. The 2 from the back of this group that we're watching. Watch the Gray just kind of trying to stay, looking for room. And right here he gets steadied, and he backs up a little bit, and he's starting to come on again. He just doesn't know where to go. Not sure if he should stay inside. Right here, he's kind of waiting. There's just nowhere to go. A wall of horses. Again, he runs right up into him. And then he moves inside here, and this thing shuts off. And now he's got to pick himself up and go around him again right here. And he wasn't too far behind the 6. And I think because the 6 only has that one career race, a lot on paper, he just looks a lot better, right? Winning Patriot looks like a horse who you'd want to play a lot more than Fight Back, who's 0 for 9 and has had some chances. But I do think that he's getting a really big jock upgrade too, with Rispoli jumping aboard. And
Yeah.
if they could just make a slightly different decision, he could just be a way bigger price. He was 20-1, Barry, on that last race, and Winning Patriot was 7-2. So if they're separated by something like that, or 3 or 4 times the price, just keep in mind that, Fight Back had legit trouble in there.
Yeah, absolutely. But those losses keep stacking up. I
Right.
just don't know if Rispoli
It's
can carry that horse across the finish line.
completely agree. Completely agree. For me, it's got to be about price, right? Like, I don't want to take him too short. I just hope he might be a little dismissed, a little forgotten about. Talked about the 6 and the 9, the 2 horses coming out of that same race. Who are some others on your radar?
I'm hoping that one of the AEs get in. Miles Finch.
Yeah.
I like this horse quite a bit. I think they rode the horse not properly the last time, if that's a good way to say it. I think this horse likes to rate rather than be on the lead, but they tried to pop the gate and get position. They did, and King of Clubs kind of ran them off their feet anyway. That horse, that was a really good performance. I don't see anybody else coming out of a race that strong. So if this horse gets in, you got to watch out. Getting Hernandez, if Hernandez stays or goes to this horse rather than who he's on. The other horse that kind of stood out besides Winning Patriot was High King. And I don't really think this horse really wants to be up front either. I think that last race, it just kind of fell in their lap and they were on the rail.
Yep.
I think
You just got to go on
that's
with
what
it.
made that sort of decision. But ideally, I think this horse would want to kind of come from off the pace and sit, and being able to get to the front means that this horse can get good position, doesn't have to be too far back. And that might be the perfect thing in this race. But the problem is the price. I'm not really sure where you're going to get a price on this horse. It's possible because a lot of these horses kind of look the same, but they also, at least on paper, have similar running styles. So people might tend to gravitate towards like horses like obviously Winning Patriot and High King.
The one that, as price wise, one of these horses could fall through the cracks. If the outside horse, the 12, Shapoval does, because just, look at the form for the first 3 races. It was good. The horse had a nice running style, put himself in the race, showed some improvement. And then just last time, just eliminate it. Just eliminate the race, put a line right through it, and go back and you're playing him off of his first couple. The wide draw may not be great, but if it's built into the price a little bit and he kind of has enough tactical speed to maybe get himself close from outside, I could throw him in the mix as well. And maybe the other couple that were longer shots that were at least under types for me. There's something like the 2 Zagreus ran really well on March 16th, but he just stopped on April 27th. They went faster, but like Winning Patriot was sitting and just went right by him. So I had a hard time, like in watching that race, I couldn't make an excuse for him, but his overall body of work, like if he can bounce back to that race on March 16th, he certainly can be competitive. I just couldn't specify why he didn't run better in that last race.
I think it could have been there was a little bit of cut in the ground. I remember it rained.
Yeah, it was a little good too. You're right. Yeah, the rain.
And I think that might have made the difference. I think this horse likes it really, really firm.
Sure.
And if it's going to be like that on Monday, I would,
give him a shot,
double
right?
take it at this horse because his price is probably going to float up just based on connections. I know Armando Ayuso is riding his eyeballs out, so
yeah,
it's that's an interesting one, especially to end the card. A lot of strange things happen.
Yeah, the 2 and the 3 would be the ones for me. The Irish Element, the Dam one on the turf. So there's some turf there, and the horse is going to be gelded now and stretch out. So sort of got that run around the track, got a little fitness builder. Now you stretch out. Looks like perked up a little bit in the mornings, like that May 18th work, just a little bit better than what you've seen from him previously. So maybe you can get a little spark here from Irish Element. I thought the pick 5 sequence is solid because you get the 3 graded stakes races. 2 of them are pretty competitive betting races, and then the other one is sort of what are you going to do with Skippy? Because it's either kind of him.
Skippy, you could cash big.
Absolutely. Barry, talk to us about Notorious OTB, what you guys have coming up this week.
We're actually off this week. Today was Wolf's birthday. Chase's birthday was today.
Oh,
the big 4-0, and so he's taking a trip to Lexington to visit farms and do all that kind of stuff. And we'll be back next Tuesday, but typically we're on every day, longer shows on Thursday and Thursday, basically, and then we do like 15-20-minute shows at some smaller tracks, and we spread it around a little bit, but we have fun.
Barry, buddy, always appreciate you and the hard work, my friend. We'll be talking next week and just a couple weeks away from the Belmont. Thanks so much, everyone, for hanging out with us. If you caught this online, if you're on Twitter, make sure you follow Daily Racing Form at Daily Racing Form there. If you caught it somewhere else, maybe on the YouTube, make sure to subscribe to That's What G Said on YouTube or on the Daily Racing Form YouTube as well. For Barry Spears, I'm Gino Bocola. Good luck, everyone, playing the races at Santa Anita this weekend.